If baseball is or was considered America's favorite pastime, then football must be life. It's our passion and clear-cut favorite sport as Americans.
Hey, we got 30 minutes for the rest of our life! 30 minutes for the rest of our life!
But now the sport has an epidemic, concussions, and the optics can be hard to look at. And this isn't according to me. It's according to the Centers for Disease Control. They estimate that there's somewhere between 1.6 and 3.8 million sports-related concussions in the United States every year. And football is the poster child.
Wardenschlager to the sideline, caught first down. Woo! What a hit!
Where concussions and CTE dominate the headlines.
Oh, going to be a penalty. And that was just totally unnecessary from the D lineman.
From magazines to books and even Hollywood blockbusters, concussions are on the minds and hearts of Americans nationwide.
Look at me! Let's go! We got 30 minutes! Let's go for the rest of our life!
And it's put parents, athletes, coaches, trainers, and fans in a precarious position. On the one hand, you love the sport. On the other hand, you've seen or heard the horror stories. Catch 22. Listen to your heart or listen to your head.
Back in the day when I played, one of those things where if you sent players to go get water, it was a sign of weakness.
But this is modern-day football, where safety dominates discussions, and if you're not being proactive with your program, you might not have a program in 10 years.
The declining participation in football is happening across the board. The last 3 years, it's decreased nationwide.
This is a numbers game. Forget the NFL or college where men play. For the game to survive, it comes down to high school, middle school, and Pop Warner, where boys and girls play if, and only if, their parents sign off to let them play.
I think it's put a spotlight on us. And I have parents that come to me and go, what are you doing to protect our kids? My thought on it is we've got to have a good answer. And that answer is, we've got to go get as much knowledge as possible. We've got to talk to doctors. We've got to look at equipment. We've got to look at the way we train ourselves. And we also got to the way we teach the game.
Negative press plus increased education has forced the game to adapt. And coaches that love the game are at the forefront of moving their programs and player safety into the future to ensure there is a future.
I listened to Coach Peterson from the University of Washington talk a few years ago, and he said to a conference of 300 coaches, high school coaches, he said, you've got to start thinking about the game differently, coach the game differently, or we aren't going to have this great game. And that really resonated to me was, okay, what am I going to do to kind of be at the forefront of this?
The time, emphasis, and resources placed on safety are different than when you or your pops played back in the day. And at schools like Summit High School, the equipment and technology is evolving too.
Riddell produced a system that actually has a 5-zone sensor in those helmets that we can, in real-life data, get impact blows on a helmet.
The helmet technology Coach Hyatt is referring to is called Riddell Insight. Sensors inside the helmet can measure the force of impact on hits to the head and alert the sideline if an impact exceeds a predetermined threshold.
When you have 65 players spread out over a 100-yard field, I'm not being able to witness everything. We don't have an athletic trainer that's out there to see every hit. And so we have those monitors as just another precaution. We're always collecting data with the monitor, but if we have a blow to a helmet that registers over a certain threshold, we'll be able to know right away that we actually need to put visual eyes on a player. The other thing is I can go in every night and download that that information on every impact on a hit, and then we can analyze our drills that we're setting up. Maybe our drills are too physical. What I'm looking at right here is this is the total impact on all of our helmets. Over the course of the last week and a half, we've had almost 2,000 impacts on the sensor, and we haven't had one that is shown to be in what Riddell considers their high impact.
The biggest change we've seen over the past 10 years has just been increased awareness about concussions.
For trainers like Stuart Schmidt at the Center Foundation, the data is invaluable.
Sensors are not able to diagnose a concussion, but they can, identify someone that, hey, they had a big hit, maybe we should get an extra eye on them and evaluate them, or hey, we've been showing a lot of impacts or a lot of contact, let's modulate things back and limit the amount of contact.
We are trying to protect these kids. We are looking at things differently and trying to be proactive as we move forward.
We can never completely remove the risk from the game, but all we can do is try to minimize the risk to the extent that is possible.
Adversity and challenges have always been a part of the game of football. It's just that now they're very much a part of keeping the game alive for the next generation.
If we want the game to be around, it's got to change.